Hello my loyal companions, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to go over the best settings for Rogue Company. This is going to specifically focus on controller settings, but can apply to every single platform and input, including Xbox, PlayStation, PC and the Switch. I'll go over things such as how to improve your frame rate, how to find the best sensitivity for you, and also the best keybinds that might be optimal for you as well. If you do go on to enjoy the video, or you just want to see daily, educational, Rogue Company content, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the video. But for now, let's get into it. Okay guys, we're going to start by looking at the display or graphical settings in the game. Most of this is actually just PC specific, but a little bit will apply to you console players as well. And generally I run on windowed full screen mode. This is not actually optimal if you're on PC. In theory you want it on full screen mode. The reason I have it on windowed is because as a content creator who streams and tabs out a lot, it creates this little screen glitch whenever I tab out, so Windows full screen avoids this for me, which is why I use this specifically, but generally I would recommend you go full screen mode. The resolution you just set to your normal display resolution. VSync you want off, you don't want to deal with that and the extra little bit of lag and input delay that gives. Brightness is preferential, I run it on 60. Motion blur, ADS blur are available to all platforms, and you want these off. These will only sort of make things look sort of strange when you're moving side to side. Add a bit of motion blur, add the ADS blur, which you don't really want. You want things to be clear and just help that way. So I would definitely recommend keeping those two off. Safe frame 100%. And then these are the quality settings that I use when I'm playing. This is just for PC, and this is really a frame rate optimization. Honestly, when it comes to view distance, I used to run it on ultra because I thought that was best. I've seen almost no difference when I run it on low, other than a little bit of frame rate increase, which is why I run it on low. Everything else, otherwise, for best frame rate, you want to be putting everything on low. There's no reason to have anything above low, in my opinion. The only reason I do is because of personal preference. If you have a better PC and you can still hit the max frame rate of 150 on medium, high, or ultra, go for it. It's more aesthetically pleasing. But generally, I say put everything on low. My exceptions are that I put anti-aliasing on medium and visual effects on medium. The reason for this is anti-aliasing makes things look really harsh and jagged, and I personally don't like the look of it. So I have to have it on medium just to sort of get rid of this. And visual effects actually affect skins as well within the game. So I put this on medium to avoid my skins looking really dull, because again, I pay money for them. So I'd rather have this on medium where I can actually see the detail of some of the skins and don't feel like I've wasted my money on it. The rest though, there's almost no need to put it any higher. It's only going to tank your frame rate and is purely visual. Now having a look at the audio tab, this had a small little adjustments since the last patch, particularly down in this mute mode, and we'll get to that in a second. Overall though, I have my master volume on 70%, music volume down to 0% because I don't personally care and I don't want to get DMCA'd when on stream, or I don't think you will. There was a rumor that it was going to happen, so I turned it off and just haven't put it back on since. Sound effects definitely at 100% because this is your footsteps, this is your shooting, this is basically everything you need to know and information you need. And voice chat volume, I have that at 99%, that can just be 100%, that really doesn't matter. Voice chat, I turn on and off with push to talk on and off depending on what situation I need. If I'm constantly talking to my teammates through voice comms, I'll have this off and voice chat on, obviously, so that I don't have to worry about the push to talk. But generally, I'll have it on just so I can add the occasional message or word or sort of information when I feel needed. This is the bit that has changed though within the game. This is the mute mode. Originally, you could only mute somebody's voice when you muted them in game. Now though, you can change it to whatever you want. It includes voice chat and quips. So these are things that they can spam that used to be really annoying. You can get rid of this now if you mute them. Voice chat and communication, so those are their pings, or all three, which is their quips, communications, and their voice chat. So you can, if someone's being really annoying and spammy, you can absolutely get rid of it. 3D headphones, I've never really seen this be of any use, so I have this off. Now getting onto the controls, which is definitely the interesting bit for most of you. I personally, in terms of the movement section, have hold to crouch, sprint, and auto sprint off because I find it better just to use them myself. Depending on what platform you're on, and depending especially if you're on mouse and keyboard, you may want to turn auto sprint on. This will remove the benefit of having padded steps, but it may be easier based on your control and your controller setup. When it comes to mouse, I do not play on mouse and keyboard, really. I'm going to put a link to a friend's video where he'll go over how to find your own mouse sensitivity, how you can find what's optimal for you using your DPI sensitivity and all of that. That'll be useful. That is Octane Pro's video. I'll put a link to that in the description and you can see it here now on screen. This will be a good video for you to go check out if you want to see some mouse stuff, but if you're interested, this is what I personally ran when I was doing a little bit of the mouse and keyboard stuff, when I've done little tests with it and stuff. As for the controller though, this is my main area, and I'm going to go through all of these things so you know exactly what you're looking at and exactly how you can find it for yourself. The horizontal sensitivity I have at 6. This used to be 7. I've dropped it down to 6 when I got my new Scuf controller. The reason I did this was because I felt it was a little bit more sensitive to my touch, and so I brought it down so it was more in line with what I originally felt comfortable using. And I have my vertical sensitivity still at 4. The reason I have this lower is because I don't think you need to be aiming up and down as much as you do side to side in this game. This really is the sensitivity that is going to control how you look around the map and how you use hip fire. The ADS sensitivity is what happens when you then aim down sight and look over the third peak of your shoulder down the weapon. This is a percentage of the numbers you see up here. So 50 is 50% of my horizontal, which means this sensitivity in theory is around 3. And then same, this is 40% of the 4 for my vertical sensitivity. This again is just personal preference. I run it at 50-40 because that's what feels natural to me and what I have had a lot of good practice with in shooting range. I recommend you definitely go through and find the sensitivities that you feel comfortable with in the shooting range. You can test it using hip fire for these ones, using aim down sight for these ones, and if you scroll just to the bottom for this scope sensitivity where I run 45-45, again that's a percentage, this is for your sniper, and this is what you have to again find comfortable when you're looking down sniper scopes or any scoped weapon. Originally the Mark IV and Aaron had scopes as well, so that applied to them, but currently there is no scoped weapon other than the 2 snipers in the game, so you want to test it using those 2 snipers as well to see what feels comfortable for you. When it comes to dead zone, there's a lot of confusion, and what dead zone does is it detects how much input you have to put on your thumbsticks before it registers that movement within the game. That means that the lower your dead zone, the less pressure you have to put on the thumbsticks for it to register the movement, which is obviously kind of what you want for more precise action. The main reason you would have this above the minimum is because of stick drift. Now, if you have stick drift on your controllers, it puts slight movement on your thumbsticks that could be detected without you even wanting it to be. And so you have to go into the shooting range, you have to whack this down to the 0 and just test it with your stick drift. So if you put it down to 0 and it starts moving, you're going to want to put it up until it stops moving. And generally that's the ideal rate. Sometimes you might want to boost it slightly higher than that as well if you just feel like it's a little bit too sensitive, a little bit more sensitive than you actually want, and that's kind of what I did here. This is what I found optimal for me, and this is generally a pretty good range. Anywhere from 0.08 to 0.2 is probably where you want your dead zone based off of your different controller and the stick drift you feel with it. If it's an old controller, it'll probably be on the higher end of that. If it's a new controller like mine, you'll want it on the lower end. Acceleration boost and acceleration boost multiplier are essentially when you spin round in a 360-degree circle, you go faster and faster and faster until you hit basically a maximum speed. That maximum speed is 3 times for me the usual amount, and it kicks in at about a 50% multiplier. This is really not very useful. You can whack this down completely to 0 and then you turn at the same speed no matter how much you turn. Generally, I find this is slightly best for me to hit a quick 180 if I need to. I generally do a roll 180, and that is what I use this for. Realistically, it's not that big of a deal. 50% and 3 is great. I find that's what works for me, but a lot of people will have it on different ranges or whack it straight down because they don't really care. Invert the y-axis I obviously have as off because I like to feel natural. Vibration active on. I know a lot of people say don't. It's really personal preference. I just personally like the feel of controllers with vibration and always have. When it comes to reload and interact buttons, I have press to interact and press to reload rather than some of the other options like press to reload, hold to interact, or press to interact and hold to reload. I have them both on press. This just means things are a little bit faster for me, and that is what I prefer. When it comes to gyroscope sensitivity, this is purely if you're using motion controls. So that's things like when you're on the Switch, if you're using the Switch controls and you're using the motion of it, or if you're on the PlayStation using PlayStation motion control, that is where the gyroscope will come in. Again, I don't use any of that. My controller isn't built for that, so I do not worry about this. If you're interested, I'm sure there is a guide for Switch players or PlayStation controller users who use this gyroscope motion control somewhere out there on the internet. Now we're going to move on to bindings. This is going to be pretty interesting for some of you, although I'm going to skip past the mouse and keyboard ones because, again, I don't use mouse and keyboard. This isn't going to be very helpful to you. I use what I can with my rubbish mouse, but I'm sure there's a much more optimal version somewhere out on the internet to help you. As for the controller ones, though, I actually have pretty much everything on the default settings. I use a Scuf controller, which means I have 3 additional buttons or paddles at the back of my controller that I can map to whatever I want. But other than that, everything is basically the same. In fact, it is completely the same for everything. So none of my bindings are changing. As for what I actually use my Scuf controller paddles for, I have one set to A for my jump, one set to roll, and one set to my melee. The jump and roll ones I have there on my Scuf controller because it means I can do those motions without having to take my thumb off of the aim stick onto A or B or to X or circle if you're on PlayStation. And that's a lot more fluid for me. It means I can continue to hold my aim while jumping or rolling and be in control rather than having to take it off to press those buttons. And again, the reason I have the melee on a third paddle is because melee on controller sucks. It is a really awkward button to have it there on the D-pad. You have to really move your thumb across your aim stick to press it, and most of the time it messes with your aim. Having it on that specific paddle has been a blessing for me. I've been able to melee well and consistently and been able to clutch out with it, whereas before it was really, really inconsistent. I would miss most melees. I would generally have my character 360ing without me wanting to, trying to hit a melee, and that's never really what you want. So having it on that paddle for me works a lot better, and I would recommend, honestly, if you can get a controller with paddles, it would definitely help your gameplay, not just in Rogue Company, but other games as well, and my personal recommendation is always going to be Scuf. Going on to the gameplay settings, I have quick cast on. Essentially what this means is it means when I'm holding the grenade out, I don't click the button, then have to aim and throw it. I just hold down the button and then release it, and then it is cooking during that time. That generally works best for me. Same with abilities. It's just easier to hold that button, the actual gadget button, rather than press the button to get the gadget and then use the aim sticks and trigger sticks to throw it. Auto pickup I have on, and guys, you should turn auto pickup on. You want to be able to pick up gadgets off the floor as you run past them, rather than worrying about having to, work around them and get them, because it can be a bit fiddly, and that isn't what you want in the heat of a battle. So definitely turn auto pickup on for that reason. Hold time and double press time I have the lowest possible. Again, I like that quick, snappy, get on the zip line, interact with something, and that is why I have these on the bare minimum they can be. Quips enabled is on, team comms enabled is on as well. Again, this is personal preference depending on what you want to do. For the HUD, this is your displaying numbers, displaying damage numbers. You definitely want this on. You want to know when you're hitting someone, you want to know how much damage you're hitting them for, and accumulative damage I've recently turned on as well, because I want to see the exact number that I'm doing. Originally I've always had this off and I've been able to just add it up in my head, but I found it a little bit easier just to have this on now, and I would recommend that for you guys as well, to turn both of these on so you can give accurate callouts about how much damage you've dealt to an enemy. FPS counter I also have as on. That is a PC thing. Again, I like to know how much FPS I have at a certain time to see if I'm dropping frames and to see whether my PC is running a bit too strong, but this won't really matter for a lot of console players. As for crosshair color, this is a little bit of a debate. It depends on which color you want. For me, magenta works best. I find it hits against backgrounds most consistently. Red isn't a bad one either, or yellow isn't too bad. The only map I have issue with magenta on is maybe Vice. In theory, though, in practice, I really haven't seen much of a change by changing this crosshair color. It's really personal preference. It hasn't done much for me. Now moving on to the social, this is just where you want to put your region. I mix between NA East and Europe. That is personal preference. And Do Not Disturb I have as off. Okay then guys, that takes us to the end of the video. And if you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You can also come follow me on twitch.tv/RADTHARGAMING. See live gameplay commentaries, guides, Q&As, and playing with viewers. All the links you're going to need are down in the description below. But for now, I hope you have a fantastic day. And remember, be loyal, be brave, be relentless, and I'll catch you in the next